go. I believe, Crash, that we are live, my homie. Welcome back to the Mile High Hotspur. My name is Leo Coys, and I am joined by my homie KTK. You better watch out because he's crashing the cars, my homie. How we doing?
Good, man. It's a lovely way to start the weekend. Being able to spend it with you and everyone here talking pitties. But yeah, it's good, man. It's been a interesting week to say the least, and it seems like it's just going to keep getting more exciting. So let's go.
Mm. Well, I mean, look, bro, I've been teasing the emergency meetings all week long, right? And it seems like we finally now we have an emergency meeting and stuff that we need to talk about, Crash. Um, Look, first of all, I do want to say big up to anybody that will be watching this show live or either on playback. However it is, your support is greatly appreciated. Um, it's a Friday night edition of this emergency stream. Earlier today, the news broke that a couple of our players from the Rapids we're actually going to pastures new, one of them at least, and the other one is going to have to start filling out some applications, my homie Crash. We, we've kind of we've kind of known or felt there's been some signs of things that have been coming. And I will say, even like on the goalkeeper front, my homie, we've kind of discussed a bit about, Nico, Zach Steffen. We've even discussed Adam Beaudry in there as well. And now news has broke with Adam Beaudry. And news breaking as well with Kevin Cabral and is it safe to say 100% that the Chidozie news is 100%, or is that still rumor talk, Crash?
Um, well, I mean, compared to the other two are official, and I think that's the key. With Chido, I have a feeling it's pretty much guaranteed that he will be leaving, in this window. For those who
Mm,
don't know, the reporting has been coming out that he's been looking to get back to Europe. He's actually been here playing without his family, local. So
mhm.
he's been away with them this season, which I can imagine is tough and challenging. I wouldn't want to be across the pond from my family that long. So I could imagine that's challenging for him, and it looks like it's a little too much and wants to get back there to Europe to be closer to his family. So I would assume, and it looks like
Absolutely.
the club's doing right by that request to get him back with his family, and I would imagine we'll see an exit here probably in the next few weeks, which
Yeah.
makes sense why we were seeing and hearing some talk about a incoming center back a few weeks ago.
Mm. We will dive into some of the rumor of the incomings because yes, you're right. The Rapids have been a bit linked with Colombian center back, if I'm not mistaken. But before of course, let's talk a little bit about the outgoings. And I want to start first with probably something that's not as big as the Kevin Cabral news. I want to talk about Adam Beaudry, and I want to start with him because, I mean, no disrespect to Adam, you know what I mean? But out of the three signings, this one is the loan signing. So this one means, he's going to be coming back. We have, I think I read somewhere, we have the right to call him back whenever, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever we want to recall him from that loan. It is a loan spell, right? Crash to Colorado Springs, playing with the Switchback, which is the USL team here in Colorado. And like I said, it is a big move for Adam Beaudry. One, because with the rise of Nico Hansen and of course Zach Steffen coming back into the lineup, he had that injury, and of course he's touted to get in some minutes with the U.S. national team. We've discussed a bit about the goalkeeper situation, and now it looks like the Rapids have kind of one-upped us and said, you know what, my homies, Adam Beaudry is the one that's going to be needing to get these minutes outside of the Rapids facility, and he's doing so still in state. Crash, what are your thoughts about that move for Adam Beaudry? And not only your thoughts about the move, but he's staying in state. He's going to a good USL team.
Yeah. No, I think, that's probably the key of it. Adam, we knew he's got some potential, right? He's been on the U.S. youth national teams. I mean, he did the youth national team World Cup this past year. He's definitely got that expectation of being a good quality goalkeeper. Where as he kind of ages into that role, and I think R2 is a bit below his capabilities, and he's not able to get the quality minutes really. I think in the R2 program, or in the MLS Next Pro program, that he'd really like, and I think the expectation of him getting extra minutes while Stefan was out isn't really coming to fruition, because unfortunately for him, he was injured when he needed the call up, and so we had to go to Nico. And I think so with Nico's ability and seeing that him come to good form, it's got the goalkeeper crew has gotten a bit crowded. So my guess is that switchbacks makes the most sense. He's close by. If I'm not mistaken, he's out of Castle Pines on the south end of town, near Castle Rock. So he's not too far away from the Springs in general. So if family's close, he's still young as well. So I think it's going to be really helpful for him to be close by. The other side of that too is I think the loan recall opportunity there is the other key. So he's still a Rapid on contract. He's just out with the switchbacks for at least this season. So we'll see what happens, and hopefully he gets good minutes, finds good form, and as the switchbacks are a high end USL championship team. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they were in the champion, the final championship match.
I think they're
last year.
champions,
So,
Crash. I think they're champions.
Did they win? Yeah. So
I think
that's the thing
champions.
is they're playing. He's playing with a top flight USL team, so that's good quality minutes for him. He's not kind of squandering that talent or that opportunity with a team that's going to be really challenged. So I think he's going to be able to get some good quality minutes with good players, and it'll be good to see where he comes out of that.
I absolutely agree 100% with that, Crash. Adam Beaudry is a goalkeeper who, from what I get, bro, he goes about his business. Honestly, he's stepped in when he's needed to be called upon, and now he's even noticed that, Nico Hansen has come in and probably leapfrogged him, obviously, in that position. And a move for him to the USL, especially like you said, bro, not closer to home, but still close to home in the same state. You're going to an established team. I don't know much about the USL. I don't even want to say I don't know much. I don't know shit about the USL, Crash. I don't know much about the switchbacks, bro. So I wouldn't even be able to tell you if he's going to go there and be a starter. You would hope, you know what I mean? He's coming from the Colorado Rapids. I don't want to say, I mean, in terms, like, in all reality, it is a step down professionally. I mean, no knock on that, but it definitely is. However, bro, if you're gonna get minutes at a USL championship challenging side, by all means, homie, go and get your minutes, bro. Because Crash, he's not gonna get him here, bro. He is just not getting him here. If he gets him here, Crash, it's because Zach Steffen has a couple of mares. God forbid Nico Hansen has an injury, and we're having to rely on the third place keeper. And so now, I mean, I wouldn't be able to tell you who falls in line for that third role, but big up for Adam Beaudry, my homie. Go over there to the USL and get some minutes. Go and get some minutes.
Yeah, and I'm looking here. I guess the USL is only a few games in to their season, from what I can tell. But their current goalkeeper isn't in the best form. It looks like. I mean, he's conceded 4 goals in 4 games. He has 1 clean sheet. He's got a player rating of 6.3. So I think the key of it, I'm looking there, save percentage is at 53%. So he's looking at a potential. I think he's going to be a jump straight in starter. There's not going to be, but they're there at the bottom of the table, so it looks like this.
Yeah,
The
I'm seeing
switchbacks
that
are probably
now.
trying to strengthen that squad. So I think this is a good
Yeah.
opportunity for switchbacks to pick up a good quality keeper, and I think that's what they're looking for.
Absolutely. Absolutely, bro. A good move for both sides, Crash, if I'm honest with you. Again, what
Yeah,
I've said earlier, he's not going to be seeing the minutes here at home, and you could see they're at the bottom of their respective league, and they could definitely use the boost. And you're talking about, your fans have to welcome an MLS caliber goalkeeper, homegrown. I'm assuming they have some sort of homegrown quota or something like that where he could slide
hmm
in and kind of fill up those type of numbers there for them. Um,
yeah,
and let's not beat around the bush, Crash. They're not getting a bullshit keeper. They're getting a keeper that's ready to go between the sticks and
hmm
definitely take that jersey and get the and get to starting some games right away for them. It's not like he's got to come in here and learn any type of system. It's not like he's coming from a league below, having to therefore try and acclimate himself to this level. He's going to a level where you would feel confident that he's going to be able to walk into that locker room, not only demand a bit of respect, but have some respect already placed on his name, if that makes any type of sense for you, Crash.
yeah. No, it does, and I think that's the case. It's an easy switch for him. He's going to get better minutes than he got plenty of minutes in R2 for sure. But it's just the
Yeah.
quality is definitely elevated from R2 to USL. So it's definitely the minutes he needed. And I think we were all talking about this really last off season where we were like, should he go? And I think this was a long time coming, and it might have just been needing to happen now because of the way that the season, they weren't able to find that really solid third keeper. And once they saw Nico, slot in there, and with Zach Campagnola, that's another young homegrown keeper with the Rapids 2 program. He'll be able to jump straight in as a third option just in case something would happen. He's a little young, but I think the three keepers that they have will be quality enough to get us through the end of the season for sure.
I think you're absolutely right, bro. I think, like I said, I mean, the only way we would probably have to rely on that third goalkeeper spot is if, God forbid, something was to happen that, freak accidents or something like that, where, of course, life be life in sometimes, and we wouldn't want
Mhm.
something like that to happen, but you never know, my homie. Um,
Yep.
Another good move for another good part of this move, Crash, is he's not going to have to relocate. You know what I mean? He's not
Right.
having to. I mean, a hotel room in the Springs is a lot better than having to relocate to another state and being very far away. You know what I mean? Especially at
Yeah,
that level in your
absolutely.
career. I mean, at this point, I guess I'm just trying to think of pluses that would benefit the young Beaudry. But I Beaudry doesn't strike me like he's the biggest of egos, the flashiest of names, honestly. So just a hardworking
Yeah.
young man that's probably ready to grasp his opportunity, if you will. You know what I mean? That's the way
Yeah, for
I'm looking
sure.
at this whole situation for him. And just as I'm saying that, Crash, I also want to say a massive big up to the Colorado Rapids for making this move happen, and Crash making it happen in the way that they did, right? Kind of underneath of everybody's nose. No big talks about it. Um, Even for us here that are kind of in the zone, kind of in the realm of hearing about soccer news, we didn't hear nothing that this was coming up, bro.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and I mean, I would imagine, I think even the Rapids have been pretty quiet about some of those things, and there's been
Yeah,
reporting and others for different pieces, but I think being it's Adam and being it's alone, being it's the switchbacks, I think this wouldn't be information I would imagine that's going to be concerning to a leak or
absolutely.
those kinds of elements. So I wouldn't be surprised, but and I think it was also something that was expected that he was going to be finding minutes
Yeah,
elsewhere, just for his development for sure.
Are
Another
are
thing I was
you
going to
are
say is,
you glad?
go ahead.
Are you glad, Crash, that it's Adam Beaudry instead of trying to maybe get
Yeah.
Nico Hansen? And maybe Nico Hansen would have been, hey man, like I think I'm ready for this first team action. You know what I mean? Now this kind of actually plays into both of our keepers' hands because now
Mhm.
we know that like both of these keepers are going to be very instrumental to what we want to be able to um reach, I guess, in the ultimate goal. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, no, I think, it makes more sense for Adam than it does for Nico, right?
Yeah,
Adam still
yeah,
has a long way to go in his development, and he still has, a ceiling
absolutely.
that he hasn't gotten to yet. Where I think Nico, he's got good quality. He's shown he's proven that he can play in the MLS and be a solid keeper. And for him to be that confirmed, I can jump in at any moment and get clean sheets or be very effective in goal. That's what you want in a second keeper. Where Adam hasn't been as he's had a few minutes and started, and they haven't gone well. I don't think it's because of him. I think our team in the back line have failed him when he's been
Yeah,
in the goal. When
yeah.
he's had to jump in for Stefan being out for whatever reason. And so I think it's not necessarily a testament to him or what he's capable of, but he's going to get a lot more solid minutes with switchbacks where he's going to be able to prove himself and build up that quality. Where Nico, they're not worried about that. I think he's probably at his ceiling, or maybe he has a little bit more availability for some development there. But also, you know, there might be an opportunity for us to make a decent transfer on Nico come say the winter. If he's really looking to find some first team minutes, he's on contract through the year, if not multiples. And I would assume, we could get, even if we got, a few $100,000 on a transfer or GAM or whatever you want to call it in the MLS.
Mhm.
I think, that's going to be
Yeah.
a positive net result regardless of where he ends up. So either way, I think the upside is in the fact that we have Nico, there to play the rest of the year, and then also for future. So it'll be interesting to see what happens after that. But, it's nice having two keepers we can rely on.
Absolutely, my homie. Absolutely. We kind of talked about this in a couple of streams before. Great problem for the Rapids to have.
Mhm.
Um, Yo, my homie, let's shift gears now. Let's talk a little bit about the big homie Chidozie Awaziem. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. So we're just gonna go with the big homie Chido. Look, Trash, I'll be the first one to say, bro, this news, when we heard about it a couple of days ago, it's one that kind of makes me a bit bummed out. And I will say this because Chido has taken to the Rapids and the Rapids fan base. Equally, the Rapids fan base have taken to Chido like ducks to water. You know what I mean? We
Mhm.
have
Yeah.
definitely he let me just kind of add some context to this. We lose a player, my daughter's favorite player, Lawless Abubakar, defensive player, not the most not the most formidable defender, but a fan favorite. You know what I mean? A
Mhm.
player that was fully up the pids, and you get
Yep.
a player replacing him. And I mean, I don't want to say replacing him, but in all
Yeah.
facets of the words, he replaced him
Mhm.
and fucking just picked up where Abubakar left off. Chidozie easily a fan favorite, my homie. Like, and his person there with Lawless Abubakars. I mean, these players, bro, are
Mhm.
just human beings before anything else. And I want to say Cheeto himself, like, you kind of said some things about it earlier, playing without his family here at home. You know what I mean? Like playing in a new country. Where did he? I mean, he's obviously from another country. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Played in France, has played in different places in Europe. He's a long way from you could in any opportunity, Crash, to be playing in Europe. Do you blame the guy
Mhm.
for saying let's do it?
No, not at all. No, and it's funny as you say that. Like like Abubakar was my kid's favorite, and And when we picked up, when he left, that was a tough loss for the family, right? He was a family favorite as
Yeah.
well, and then when Chido came in, he quickly filled a slot with my kids they enjoyed watching him out on the field, and my daughter definitely had that bummed feeling when I had to let her know he's likely going to be heading home. But again, like you said, I told her too, I was like, he's playing away from his family, and she's like, oh well, yeah, he needs to go back with them. So, and I think that's the key is, he was definitely, if you're looking at the stats of him on the team, he was easily one of our best, or easily our best defensive piece. Even though he could be hit or miss here or there, but for the most part, he had solid minutes with us and was everyday starter you would expect and when he was available. And so I think it's going to be a big hole to fill. And I think he's
Absolutely.
got. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think the benefit is, he does carry a relatively fair market value based on what we got them from Seattle, especially with him and Ian from Cincinnati
Yeah.
at the beginning of the
Yeah.
season. So, the benefit there is that they have they got a good deal on that transfer, and I think whatever deal we can get for him to end
Yeah.
up where he's in it with, I think, FC Nantes in League One in France is where he's going to end up. But I would assume that's going to be a decent deal for both parties on that one, and we're not going to be taking a giant hit to make sure he gets where he
Yeah.
needs to go. So end of the day, I think it's exciting for him to be in a club he's familiar with and a place he's familiar with his family, and wish him well. I would assume
Yeah.
he will not be available for the Philly game, so we probably saw his last minutes in that Seattle game on Wednesday.
Mm.
But you never know. Transfer window opens in a few days, so maybe he has one last game with us before he moves on. But I would assume he's not traveling to
Mm.
Philly.
I would assume we've probably seen the last of Chido, my homie, definitely. Um, he missed a game a couple of weeks ago, and I seen the Burgundy Waves tweet maybe yesterday, I want to say, or maybe it was today, where they kind of talked about the Cheeto deal and said he missed a game a couple of weeks ago. Could it have been because of that? And like I said, bro, definitely a bummer to see a player like Cheeto go because, like I said, I feel like from a fan's perspective, and I guess that's solely what we are, Crash, is we're definitely fans, is you
Mhm.
love to see players like him on your team. You definitely do. And like I said, he definitely got the grasp of what it was like playing for the Colorado Rapids and what it meant to defend the badge of the Burgundy Blue. Um,
Yeah.
and I mean, big up to Chidozie, my homie. Well earned, well earned. Another player for the Rapids, making a jump to the European League. We've seen it with Moise Bombito last season, taking off, flourishing with Nice. Another one of these French teams that's not afraid to take. I don't even. Excuse me. I don't even want to call it a punt because he played at FC Nantes before.
Hmm.
So they basically know what they're going to get with this player. And I mean, let's be real. In this point in Cheeto's age, you would think he probably would fit an MLS side more than a European side. But then again, you're talking about Nantes, which is respectfully not the biggest, not the most formidable opponents in Ligue 1. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? They're probably going to do their best to try and fight for a place to stay in the division come the end of
Hmm.
the season. So big up for them thinking that a player like Chidozie Awaziem is that type of a caliber player to help propel them to what they probably want to accomplish. So that makes me feel good about the player that we had, Crash.
Hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I mean and I think the one exciting thing with Cheeto is, he came in and we can always critique, ability or, reasoning on the field or whatever it might be, but you can't critique his passion. And I think the side of it that you noticed, you know, he was an easy figure to see when he was celebrating or he wore his heart on his sleeve, and you could tell it out on the pitch. There's plenty of video capture of him, after we've gotten a clean sheet or a win, and he's got both hands like excited there in
Absolutely.
the back line. So I think his time here, he put us all into it, and I think his all is all we could the best we could imagine. And I think in reality, think about the situation he's in. He's here with his family. He's in a new place,
Yeah.
and I know it's part of the gig as being as a footballer, but at the end of the day, how good can you really be when you're not surrounded by the people that really care for you? So I could imagine the challenge of that.
Absolutely.
And so I think for what he did and where he came from, I think he put it as all in. So I appreciate his service, and hopefully he can get
Absolutely.
back with his family and in his old club.
Absolutely, homie. Nothing but the best from all of us here to Chido. And I know that it's not much to say that I'm going on a stretch, but I could probably say that I speak for the majority of Pity's fans when we say that, he definitely, like you said, played with his heart on his sleeve, you know what I mean? And definitely played for the badge. And big up to Chido, definitely. Um, with that being said, homie, we will try and get into the incomings of what this transfer could possibly mean, but we definitely have to touch on probably the biggest outgoing of probably maybe a year Rapids franchise. I mean, I don't want to call it a stretch, my homie, but this is the most expensive player in Rapids history that we're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
This is a player where the Rapids thought, yo, we're going to invest this much money into this player. We're going to invest this much energy into this system and this player. And it seems as though, my homie, today, the Rapids, well, I can't even say today. It's kind of been in the works. If you could read the writing on the walls or maybe the writing between the lines, he hasn't featured for the Rapids. The homie was duct taped out of the team party lineups. And today we get the news that Kevin Cabral, not transferred, not sold, not loaned, released, waived. They said we're gonna eat those 2 mil up and then we're just gonna cut our losses. Trash. I've been waiting all day to get your thoughts on this one, my homie. Let the homies know what you're thinking about this move of Kevin Cabral. The Rapids finally said we've had enough of it. Crash, before you say anything, 0 goals, 0 assists all season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think even the bigger thing on that is I think it's 8 goals and 1 assist across his entirety, its tenure here at the Rapids.
Mm.
So you got to think, just to put it on there, and this isn't a knock on him. I'm not trying to be mean or anything like that, but those 9 goal contributions across the 3 years he's been with us are the most expensive goal contributions I think any team's ever
Expensive.
paid for in the MLS, right? So I
Expensive,
think the
Crash.
challenge, the challenge of that is that, I think we were hopeful. I think we saw a good spark of his before he, broke his arm last year at that Galaxy game when he got that last goal. But since then he just hasn't. And I think we were extremely hopeful. And I think if you look at the fact that we didn't really bring in, much attacking help outside of KDP when we did, is that we knew we had, Kevin, who was fast and had potential and had flashes of it last year. And so I think we were hoping for that good, solid stretch like we saw a good part of last year. And obviously it didn't materialize. And, for me, the key of it is that I never expected the team to part ways. I mean, it's not in the Rapids financial acumen over the past 30 years to just part ways on money. We're always trying to skimp and save and get every nickel out of a player we can. And so for the fact that the front office did this, which to be honest, we all knew it was the right play. It was something that needed to happen. He wasn't getting minutes on the team or getting even quality minutes. He wasn't really contributing to the team on the attack side, right? I think he did help a fair amount in the defense. He was probably a better defender
Right.
than he was an attacker. But that being said, the front office doesn't usually make that money or doesn't make those moves, right? Spending that, realizing we need to cut our losses. So the thing that I'm excited by is the fact that we did that. We made that move. It's a sign that the front
It's a
office is
statement.
serious
That's a
about this
statement.
team.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a statement that they are wanting to invest in this team. They want to have the best in this team. And the fact that we were really spending that money on a DP tag or a U22 tag,
Yeah.
depending on how we use it in an ineffective way, they realize, well, we're going to be out this money anyway. We're going to pay this salary regardless if he's on the bench. Should we double down and find somebody to fill it? And it looks like that's what's happening. So, end of the day, I applaud Kevin for all his contributions to the team.
Absolutely.
I think, you see all the reports and you see people talking about him, the team or coaches or fans or otherwise. He was a good, solid teammate. And I think that's the key to look at this. He might not have been lived up to the expectations that were put on him when he first got here. But also, that's a big shoe to fill, right? That's a big tag, transfer coming into the Galaxy, not living up to it, coming to us, Galaxy's getting him off his books by paying half of his salary to us. That's a lot of pressure to put on somebody. And it sounds like it was just on the too far end of spectrum to overcome. So I really hope to finds a home, whether that's back in France or maybe even another MLS team that's willing to take a chance on him. But I wouldn't imagine that would be the case. Most likely he's heading with Chido to find
Back
another
home.
play.
Yeah. Big up to the homie Rob Patterson. He says, big love, bro. Hope you're doing good. Come on, you fucking Spurs. What sport is it, my homie? We are currently discussing, myself with my homie Crash. We are discussing the Colorado Rapids, which is the hometown team here. MLS. At least the Rapids have Villa's colors rather than competitive team like Man United. Oh, wait, sorry. Big yourself up, Rob Patterson. I appreciate you stopping by, my homies. We actually are talking our local football team, the Colorado Rapids. We've been making some moves. We got rid of our most expensive player. Over here, the most expensive player he was worth, what is it? What was he worth? 1.95 million, Crash, or was that his
Yeah,
overall salary that he had?
Yeah, I think his salary, if I remember correctly, guaranteed this year was like 2.1. And so I
So
think
see what I'm
the key
saying?
of that was, yes. Well, and that's the thing is at that tag, even though that we are only covering half of the cost of that, his take home and what he's walking away with is more than, Georgie. It's more than Hoffa. It's more than
Yes, he's the
our key
highest earner.
players, right? Highest earner,
Yes.
and I think I'm not sure if I mentioned it here or where we talked about it. I know I've talked about it in the past, but that you go to work with somebody and you know that they're
Mm,
making more than you. That's a mentality problem in your team, right? And that could be a team at work, that could be a team on sports. It doesn't matter where it is, but when somebody's not performing, but they're making bank over you, that is a very detrimental thing to a team.
oh,
And so
absolutely.
whether he's a good guy or not, he wasn't performing, and they needed to get that out because I have a feeling that was really causing some issues with the team. And if you think about it,
Mm,
the past two games, we've seen a mentality shift from this team, right? I think the Vancouver game was a big statement win for us to say, hey, we can play. Kevin wasn't in the lineup. We go to Seattle. It started off rough, but we came back and
absolutely.
we were able to fight like we've seen them do it like they did last year, right? And fight for that
Yeah.
that point in Seattle, which nobody expected to happen. So I think there's really a mentality shift that's really happening, and it's even before then. I think there's some other elements there that probably played into the factor of that. But I think once we saw the salary report come out with that, you really saw us
Yeah.
mentally change, and I think that might
Yeah.
have been a big key of that.
Crash, I want to say, bro, from an outsider's perspective looking in, things have been a bit different at the Rapids ever since that article came out in the Denver Post going over their salaries. And this is when it came out that Kevin Cabral was on the numbers that he's on. And you're
Yeah.
exactly right, bro. And we did touch on this on the last stream. How are you going to expect these other employees of the business to want to focus and treat it like a business when you have this guy? Sorry, Mihailovich, not pointing at you. When you have, when you have Kevin Cabral, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And Crash, you said it. No disrespect whatsoever, my homies, but we're not gonna fucking we're not gonna beat around the bush, bro. We're gonna call it how it is. This man was not holding his weight, and I hate to say that
Yeah.
because such a high ceiling and such potential for a designated player spot, the highest earner in our club's history, even right now, and
Mm-hmm.
a statement of intent, my homies. And Crash, I told you earlier on when we kind of when we were switching messages off in the morning talking about this. What a move! But if the next move, who we bring in or what we do following this, if that isn't up to or equally measuring the standards, getting rid of Cabral means absolutely nothing, my homie. Absolutely nothing. If we don't try to then get that money and invest it into, look, we're getting rid of Chidozie. We need a center back, bro. I don't care if we have Michael Edwards out on loan and we can recall him. I don't know if that's the case or not. I don't know if we have another Rapids 2 player that's ready to jump the ranks and make it into the MLS. If you ask me, bro, we're linked to the new Colombian player, which we will probably get into here in a
Mm-hmm.
little bit, but we need to invest this money. And it's not chump change. We just got rid of the highest earner at the club. We just freed up a hefty piece of change that we could definitely bring in somebody and make this happen. Rob Patterson says, I think I found a new MLS team. Let's fucking go. Get in. I've
Let's
been
go up
following
the PIDs.
Northlandland since 2013. My ex was from there and it was her local team. Boo. I wanted Kudus and Damsgaard for a year. And now we have Kudus, my homie. We have Kudus. I'm happy about that. But what makes me even more excited about that, Crash, is the mighty Colorado Rapids now have another fan from across the world, my homie. Let's fucking go.
Mm-hmm.
Get in. Get in, my homie.
Love it.
Um,
Love it. Welcome.
yeah, let's go. That's fucking what's up. Let's go. Let's go. Um, but look, a hefty price tag. The Rapids need to play their. If we're going based off of the signs that Padraig Smith is kind of tossing out there, let's see if we're in for a big signing, my homie. Let's see if we can't
Yeah.
bring in a monster signing. And I don't know what Chidozie was on, but you would have to think a player of his caliber is probably in the higher earnings of the club. You know what I mean? At least
Mm-hmm.
in this roster. So we've freed
Yeah.
up some space to therefore go and get some more people. Crash,
Yeah, for
thoughts
sure.
first on Rap Patterson becoming the newest pity fan, and also,
Love
just
it.
talking about this extra money and what we could possibly do with it.
Yeah, man. Well, first, yeah, Rob, welcome to a team that you can root for, support, and hate all at the same time. We're talking some fun stuff here, but I will say, it's a roller coaster. So if you're in for the ride, come join us, and you're welcome to take a seat in the South Bank any day.
Let's go get it.
Let's see
Crash. Yeah.
freeing up the money. I think the key of it is I'm excited by it. I think it's a good opportunity for us to spend that on somebody who's got some good quality to them. I know we'll get into some of the potential inbounds, but the DP tag is a big one, right? Obviously for this league and kind of how the salaries work. The DP tag, there's no salary cap to that, and so that's
Okay.
where we can bring in the best players possible. And so the benefit of that is with the way the salary MLS changed the salary caps last year. We can also transition that to U22 signing. So we can go find that young talent, whether it's here or otherwise, and bring them in very similar capacities where we can lock in their salaries for a long time, and it's not really affecting the cap as well. So I'm excited. I'm not sure which direction that they're going to go. It looks to be the fact that they're going to go towards maybe this Colombian signing, which is rumored to be a U22. I'm not 100% sure what that's going to be. I kind of hope it's not, because I would love for us to really find that another DP tag player to bring in. If we could bring in another Georgie caliber on the wing, that would be pretty amazing. But the other side, it gives us flexibility here, and I think that's what we need. Even KDP, he's a U22 signing that we've got, and he's shown some really good quality, and really coming into his own. So I don't know. I'm excited for it. The benefit that I'm looking at, though, is the amount of money we spent on Kevin's salary could also get spread out. Right. I think we still had a few extra roster spots that we could fill. And so maybe if it's just depth pieces that we're not spending, $1 million on a salary, we're spending, maybe you get a U22 signing at a, 750 750K a year or something like that. And then you've got another, 500,000 you're able to bring in as another depth piece. Right. And so it just adds to some flexibility in how we build the roster, and we're not capped with this big sign, this big tag on Kevin. So I'm excited to see where we go with it.
Crash, I still like, bro, it was news that we knew we kind of like felt was like in the air.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the eerie feeling was there. The eerie music like just played out. But today when it happened, my homie, I was like, holy fuck, bro. Like they did it. Like they took it on the chin and just said, fuck it, we're gonna eat this money, you know what I mean? And we're gonna get rid of this, we're gonna get rid of the highest earning player. And I still cannot get over that, Crash. Like we're acting like a team that, we're the Colorado Rapids. We're not known for bringing in your freaking Hugo Llorises from Europe. We're not known for getting your Olivier Girouds. You know what I mean? We're gonna fight for what we have, bro. And to know that like the Rapids, bro, this little team in the MLS market is gonna say, you know what, we're not gonna deal with this. We're gonna make you kick rocks. And I just felt like today, my homie, we definitely conducted ourselves like a big team. Rob says, what do you guys think of Modric and Snoop investing in Swansea, Bell investing in Cardiff? This is huge. Simru, I'm loving it. Huge for Simru. I don't know what that means, but
Simru's Wales.
And he says, is that what that is? I think Rob Misket and Rob Reynolds have done my. Okay, so my homie Rob is Welsh. Okay, big up. I think that's good news, my homie. I think that honestly is good news. Snoop, now part owner of Wales. I seen his social media post where he was like, "Hail Wales, baby," you know what I mean? Look, Snoop Dogg is an excellent personality. I think the more people that we can, I guess, shed the light of the footballing world onto is only going to make it better. The homie hit the nail on the head at the hammer. Rob and Ryan Reynolds have done his country. bro, imagine now you're adding even more people that are going to start adding to these smaller clubs. Swansea's not a smaller club. I mean, a small club. They're a
Mhm.
smaller club. You know what I mean? But huge prestige for Wales and Swansea. Snoop Dogg. Have you heard any of this, Crash?
Yeah, I did see some of the postings on it before, so it's exciting. You know, anytime we get more exposure
Unreal.
to
Okay.
the sport, the better, right? And I think, you know, the frustrating thing that I have with it is that they have to go overseas to invest in those clubs. Where, you know, it'd be nice if we had a system set up to where they could invest in local clubs, but you know, it's not the way it works. So it's good to see more exposure is always good, especially going into World Cup season next year. It's going to be nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the more people we could do, I think LeBron James has stake in Liverpool. Um,
Mhm.
you see these bigger celebrities with stakes in football
For
clubs.
sure.
I think the
Yeah.
more people, I agree, Crash, it would be dope to see some of these maybe homegrown talents. So maybe say, hey, for example, I'm gonna purchase stake in the New York Red Bull. Might be a bigger market
Sure.
that one of these New York rappers would say, hey,
Yeah.
let's get some stake in
NYFC. Yeah.
NYCFC. Yeah, you know what I mean. So I could definitely something like that. Tom Brady, Birmingham
Yeah.
City. You know what I
Birmingham.
mean? Birmingham
Hmm.
City with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Tons of American people, not even just American, but a lot of the mainstream. It would be nice to see more of that.
Yeah.
And it's only gonna be a better look for the sport. Honestly, I mean, we love football, Crash. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, whether if it's
Yeah.
MLS or we're watching our beloved Premier League teams or what our La Liga
Hmm.
teams, whatever it is, football brings the people together, and seeing people of stature, Snoop Dogg, whether he's of stature, a relative or not, like that's a big name in the U.S.
Yeah.
advertising market. You're gonna get Snoop Dogg to advertise your product, by all means, my homie. And Luka Modric, a baller, deciding to could have invested in something in Croatia, decides to go to Wales. You know what I mean? Gareth
Hmm.
Bale, of course, being a Welsh player, goes back to the Welsh teams. I mean, I'm all for it, my homie. God only knows if I was able to come up on some money, my homies, I would definitely be trying to invest in the Rapids lineup myself, Crash.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's not going to happen with KSC, you know, being the largest ownership group in the
Absolutely.
world. But yeah, you know, I was going to get back to kind of what we were talking about, and I think that kind of circles us back there. Is, you know, we made this move that big MLS clubs would do any day of the week because that's the way you got to get these guys off your books. You're going to take the hit and move forward. And you know, for KSE to do that, it's a drop in the bucket for them. I mean, they like think of how
Mm,
much money they spend on loan. So you know, I get they're all their own independent businesses and whatnot, but at the end of the day, you know, that's a it's an easy decision to make. And so I think it, you know, to see them make it, which I think is the biggest like statement that you said, right?
yeah,
And it just
I
shows
agree.
that they want to compete, or they're trying to compete, or they're trying to show the expectation that they're trying to compete. Whatever it is, they're doing it. They're putting it out there. So you know, if it was LAFC, if it was Cincinnati, if it was Ohio, you know, Columbus, Miami, you know, they would have done this a long time ago. And I think that's the key of it. And excited to see them make that move.
I agree, bro. I echo that 1,000%, Crash. The fact that we did this, the fact that we're honestly even okay, and I say this kind of like respectfully, the fact that we're on board with even letting Chidozie leave kind of makes me feel like we kind of have something in the background already that us fans obviously are not going to know about until it breaks. But
Hmm.
I'm not really worried about it, Crash. I mean, I know, even with Kevin going, I really feel that like there's a game plan going on. I know yesterday, 2 days ago, when we had our stream crash, the homie was kind of like, "Is there murmurings? Is it going to be time for maybe a Armis out type situation?" Bro, actions like this crash make me even double down on what the Rapids are doing and the faith that they show in this Chris Armas system and the team that we kind of already have in place. Shit like this
Yeah.
crash makes me feel like this is just going to propel us to hopefully that next level, bro.
Yeah. Well, and I think too is like, granted, this is a
Ooh.
good step, right? This is we're not winning anything. We haven't got any people coming in yet. I know we're going to talk about Alexis here in a second. But if this is the first step into investment into the club to make it really a competitive animal in the league, then I'm all for it, right? I think
Mm.
the next step is what we're going to see is what they do with these inbound transfers in the this summer, right? And the window opens next week. What are we going to see, and what are we bringing in? If we bring in some solid players to add to the depth of this team, then we're showing up the way we have. The next thing that we need to see is investment into the club facilities and things like that. And I doing the locker room tour on last week was a big eye opening to me. I'm like,
Mm.
it's not a bad place. It's a nice the nice, clean, adequate for what it is. But you've seen some of these other clubs, and it pales in comparison. I mean, you've got it's
Yeah.
the
There's always
gym
room for
there is a
improvement,
locker
Crash.
room is a
Yeah.
I've got a almost like the same gym in my behind me, right? I know those guys
Yeah.
have a few more pieces of equipment than I do, but I mean,
Yeah.
come on. You don't need much, but
Yeah.
seriously, I mean, we need a facility that they can properly train in. And so that's, I think the key of it is like keep seeing the club invest back into the team with
Yeah.
facilities and this or that. I think it's going to be exciting, and it's going to say, hey, the Rapids want to stay, they want to be relevant, and they want to make sure that they're showing up the best way they can. So I'm excited. It's
Mm.
it's it's a good day to be a Rapids fan for sure, at least for the time being.
Yeah. Perfect. Excellent points, bro. Real quick, Rob says if you could add anything from the Premier League to MLS, Crash, what would it be?
Hmm.
You know,
The fan engagement.
I was gonna say
Like,
if you want to think about it, I'll say I wish, and this kind of trickles down from what you kind of said, the fan engagement. I wish football meant as much here as it meant in
yeah.
England, because when I was in London and I went to see Enfield Town FC, a non-league match, it was fucking packed. Their little
Yeah.
ground was fucking packed. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
that's where I feel like the United States, not just the MLS, the United States is way behind other places where you don't go to these little freaking off the beaten track grounds where you're gonna see the little kids, the grandmas, the parents, the everybody rooting for the non-league
Mhm.
teams. Here,
Yeah.
Crash, we're
Yeah.
kind of
Same.
limited to the little bit of action that we get at the stadium. And that's our professional team. You know what I mean? I would love for my neighborhood to bang it out against that neighborhood and to be banging it out in the Southwest Division of Denver. But it just doesn't go like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's tough. It's challenging. I mean, it's hard to be, you know, an away fan in the MLS, right? The gap between teams,
Mm.
it's very rare that you see a ton of showing up at the away days. It's hard. It's expensive, So we're, in the Premier League, we're a town over. You're an hour or two drive. So I think that's the other key is it's hard to be those same type of fans, dedicated fans as we are. I mean, we have watch parties and things like that, but I think the experience in the stadium with the chants and but not just the supporters doing it, but like the whole
Mm.
stadium doing it. I think that's the key.
Yeah.
That is the difference between MLS and Premier League, right? You're getting that huge experience where you're not getting the same kind of thing in the MLS, which is fine. It's just different. You get a lot of people like me who bring their kids and enjoy it. It's a different experience, but granted, I go to every game. I'm not just going there just for a good night out. But still, it's just that experience is just hands down the biggest difference between the two.
Mhm. The homie says he genuinely thought you guys would say relegation. I'm honestly proud of your answer. Let's fucking go. Although you said England when it's the same. Yes, I'm sorry, my homie. You're actually right. I did say England because I was referring to the Premier League, and yeah, I forget that it does kind of have its wings outside of just England. When it's the same across, yeah, you're absolutely right. The UK, I would even go broader and say Europe. You know what I mean? The European
Mhm.
footballing culture vibe, I
Yeah.
will say so myself, is just miles, days, and years and light years ahead of anything that we can have here
Yep.
in the United States. We're just way behind. And um, Rob, I would
Yeah. I mean, it's
love
just
to have.
college football. I mean, the closest thing that we have to that same experience is college football, really, right? Even the
Yeah,
NFL is a little bit different, but the college system and how many fans we pack and how passionate they are. I think you get similar things in the NFL or the professional, but it's really the college football experience is the closest thing that we have to kind
yeah.
of really international football games, right? So it's
Well, those some of
it's just a
those
different mentality.
some of those college stadiums crash hold 100,000 plus.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
massive,
When you can
yeah,
hold
massive
100,
stadium.
I, I think the Rose Bowl, you're talking maybe Ohio State. You see
80,
these bigger,
yeah. The Rose Bowl is like 86,000 people, if I'm not mistaken,
bro. That's a
like that.
lot of fans in one place, bro. That's a lot of
Yeah.
people.
I used to
So
live I used
the
to live right
100,
down for the Rose Bowl, so it was fun.
is it? Yeah, I actually took my family to the Rose Bowl to watch Tottenham play against Barcelona. What a wonderful time,
Yeah.
bro. I got me some
80
excellent tacos out
89,000.
there. Yeah, bro, that's damn near they're putting extra seats in that motherfucker to make it 100,000, bro. Trust me. You know what I mean?
Oh,
What's
yeah.
another 10,000 seats, bro?
Yep.
So the passion is definitely there. I just feel
Mhm.
like we're definitely in. And Rob also said he would have thought we would have said the promotion relegation. That is
Mhm.
also one of the things that we need in order for us to elevate our game. Especially now you're talking about players like Adam Beaudry going to an in-state rival who doesn't play for the MLS. Imagine if you have the opportunity to have an in-state derby against a team like, the Switchbacks from Colorado
Switchbacks.
Springs.
Yeah.
Bro, that would be peak for Colorado sports. That would be peak for football in the United States. We're not the only state that has a professional team and a professional USL team. There's various
Yeah.
states that could benefit from a promotion relegation system. It will never happen because of the money, I think.
Mhm.
So that's why I don't even ever think about it. However, a promotion relegation system in the United States would be fabulous, Crash.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've thought about I think there's a few different ways they could really go about it, but at the end of the day, the way the MLS is built, it's not built off of ownership groups that own the team. It's built off ownership groups that all own the MLS, and so there's an
Yeah.
incentive for those teams to not do that, and they're voting against their interest if they are. So I would never expect it to happen, but you never know. But yeah, just different for sure.
It's definitely different, Crash. It's definitely different here. I'm about to pull up some stuff on Alexis Castillo. Let's see if Transfer Market has any
Yeah, I've got it
info
up here
on
too.
this. Let me see here. So he goes by Alexis Castillo, but it's looking like, first of all, I do want to say, Rob, I appreciate you. I appreciate the interest, my homie. I appreciate you spending your very late evening, early morning with us here, talking the Colorado Rapids, your new favorite
Mhm.
MLS team, my homie. So big yourself up, bro. Um, I want to transfer over to, let me just pull this up, Crash. We're going to go over to transfer market for this one. And we're going to look up Alexis Castillo, which I guess now has another last name by the
Manmoya.
Manyoma. Manyoma.
Manyoma, yeah.
Manyoma. All right. Can you see this, Crash, on the screen? Everybody see this here
Yeah.
on the screen? Let me go back and make sure we're good.
I got you.
Let's see here. Number
Yeah, we got you.
19, playing at Estudiantes LP, which is a team in Argentina. So he's playing
Argentina.
in the
Yeah.
Argentina. Yeah, I thought he was
Yep.
playing in Colombia. He's just a Colombian citizen, a left
Yep.
winger. Okay, so we're going not like for like, but like for like in the sense that we're going winger for winger. Let's see here. 22 years old from Colombia, left foot winger, under 20 product, 27 caps for the Colombian under 20 team, 4 goals. He is playing at Estudiantes, like we said, is the first tier in Argentina. He's been there for almost about 2 years now, Crash. So he's got some experience playing there, first division in Argentina. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I know too much about this guy. I don't know anything about him, Crash.
Yeah.
We're looking here. His
Yeah.
main position is left winger. He can play that attacking midfield role, kind of like that 10, and also plays on the right-hand side where we've seen Kevin Cabral get the majority of his reps. A player that you're kind of a like for like with this one.
Yeah.
Crash, what do you think, bro?
Yeah. So pretty much, I think that's see you, Rob. Thanks for hanging out with us. I think, you look at this and, he's a under 22 or U22, most likely signing, right? If he comes in, I actually pulled it up and I'm comparing him with Teddy, and I think you're looking at it very consistently. The concern that I have is the reason why he is leaving the team is he kind of fell out of favor with the team. It seems like I was seeing some postings from some of the sites announcing his potential departure, and it sounded like he kind of fell out of favor. He hasn't really been performing. I did watch some of his highlights, and he's got some good quality on the ball. He plays he's dynamic, right? And I think he could have a place in this team. But the question that I have for me and the concern that I have is, I'm looking at him compared to Teddy on transfer market, and Teddy's value is at 2 million euros, and Alexis is at 1.5 million euros. And I don't know what my conversion is to change it to the US dollars, but either way, you can see he's got a, you just look at their stats side by side, the entirety of his career or professional career, Teddy's got 20 goals, 18 assists, and 8,800 minutes across all the different leagues and things he's played in. You look at Alexis, he's got 12 goals, 9 assists, and 6,600 minutes. And I think that's the concern that I have, and part of the reason why I think you had my tweet up that I posted earlier is, the rumblings are that he's coming in with a mandatory purchase option on that loan. So if he hits a certain number of appearances, then we're locked in on making that a done deal. And the concern I have is that then we're going to be hesitant to play him, right? I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's starts or just general appearances or what it is. So maybe he's great. He loves it here and he starts clicking and playing well. Great, let's pick him up. But the concern that I have is we need help. We need depth now. And he's not really showing that he's not scoring these goals. He's not getting the assists as much as I would really hope to see. And so my concern is is he really the best option we have available? Does he come in without a U22 or DP tag? Okay, that makes more sense to me, right? Then it's not such a big hit. and maybe he's depth. Maybe he's a depth piece to add to Calvin and Koo, and then maybe we're picking up one more big signing at the attack. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I like it. I think he's got good quality potential, but I'm concerned when I started seeing what the deal might look like, and I just feel like there's better options out there. I will say it's a very rapid signing, so I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. It would be let's roll the dice on somebody else who is not quite there and hope we can fix them. And that's, I know we moneyball a lot of things, but I don't know. This isn't what I feel the team really needs at the moment. But maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be proven wrong, but it's not giving me I'm super excited on this.
Well, I mean, and I mean, I know before you've mentioned in the past where you kind of were I mean, when we got Coup de Pietro, you were kind of on the Coup de Pietro train, right? I could see now maybe it's gonna take some convincing from the homie Alexis to maybe win you over, bro. But you never know, my homie. He could, excuse me, he could definitely come in and hit this ground running. I don't know much about the Argentina league. I don't know where they sit at as far as like levels above us or below us. And for that matter, I don't even know where this team Estudiantes de La Plata sits at. So, I mean, I'm hoping maybe the Rapids did do their due diligence to get a good player, good scouting, good everything. Because I mean, I don't know much about him. I'm just now looking at your tweet, and you know how you said you can't speak to the truth of this deal, but if there's any mandatory purchase option based on appearances, don't like this at all. I could agree. I would hate for another Kevin Cabral type situation where we get another player with not a hefty tag, but a tag in itself to just come in and collect some more fucking bread from us. That would probably be the worst case scenario. I'm going to bring up Rob's comment. Says, sorry, as a new Rapids fan, I don't fully understand the MLS, where they're looking from and how big they want to be. And fair play to you, bro. I mean, even myself, this is my second full season being a Colorado Rapids fan, being an MLS supporter. I'm barely now like kind of coming to grips of like this whole DP tag, a designated players role. I didn't even know, Crash, you kind of just enlightened me earlier that like this tag doesn't have a set salary. I thought, there was a salary for a limit for everything, but now kind of to think of it, a designated player, these players come from Europe with hefty wages, so of course they're not going to come back and start winning minimum wage MLS wages, so it does make sense there. The MLS in a whole is definitely growing, my homie Rob. I could definitely say that. And to the other three people watching and not commenting, why not like or sub? It costs nothing and would be nice if you're watching. Big yourself up, Rob. I agree. If you guys are here, please like the stream. If you aren't by some chance subscribe to the channel, I definitely would advise you to subscribe to the channel. The homie Crash and I have been on a rampage this week. I think this is our third freaking stream this week, bro. And we're definitely been putting in some work. So big up for that. I know tomorrow I'm gonna be doing some streaming with some other homies. So keep it locked in, my homies. I haven't really heard
to give
much.
You some. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Crash. Go ahead.
I was going to say, just to give some context on kind of Club Estudiantes and even the Argentinian league. So the Liga Professional is 10th. Is really ranked in the global football rankings at 10. So it's one spot just below MLS and one spot just in front of Championship. So you can kind of give that expectation of what that caliber of a player would be. So very much a like for like in the leagues between MLS and Argentina. So which is nice. Which is a good thing. The only thing that I was looking at as well is Club Estudiantes is a quality club. They won a few cups in their division last year. So there are a few championships or tournaments that they ended up winning. So it's a quality club. So he's not coming from bottom of the table team. So I think that's always a positive. So he knows what the expectations would be and caliber at a high level. So that's always good things, right? And so I look at that as a positive. But the other side of that too is I would expect somebody at that caliber, at a like for like kind of level at that age to be getting a few more goal contributions than what I'm seeing on paper. For me to be excited by at least, right? I saw his play and I saw his highlight reels that they had on YouTube of him, which is always a positive, right? To be able to see some of his play.
Yeah.
It seems like he's a good player. He's winning the ball, doing some. I feel like he's got a good mix between kind of Hoffa, that kind of that South American flair on the ball, and a Calvin Harris kind of a feel, right? And so he's got a good balance, I think, between the teams. But I'm kind of a wait and see kind of situation. What is the contract? What does it look like? Those are going to be the things that really win me over, rather than we got a South American coming in at a U22 slot. I want to make sure that
Facts.
they're filling that fourth slot really well. So we'll see what happens.
The homie says the Brazil league is going to be nuts after the Club World Cup with Fluminense and Botafogo. They did a good job this past tournament. Botafogo, Flamengo, Fluminense, good teams in Brazil, my homie. Good quality all over the world. I'm gonna bring this back up real quick. I hate how I have all these ads on this joint, my homie. I'm gonna go back to transfer market and I'm gonna bring up. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Um, I'm gonna bring up the homies club stuff again because he is a winner. He definitely is a winner. Okay, we have to do this the other way, my homie. Give me a second, my homies. I seen there he had 3 trophies. I'm gonna go back there, but he has 3 trophies with his team. I'm gonna see what year they were. Let me bring it back up.
I think they're this
Bear
past
with
year,
me,
23,
Crash.
24.
Why did I lose what I was doing here? All right, Alexis Castillo. I wonder why they have him as Castillo, and then his other.
I don't know, middle name, I guess. Let's see here.
Middle
I've
name. I'm
got.
like that too, though. Let's go. We're here, my homies. We are here. I just gotta wait for it to load up. We are here. We are here. We're here. We're here. Alexis Manyoma. He's got some trophies with him. This first one that he won was the Argentina
Cup.
Argentinian Cup winner.
Mhm.
And then the second trophy is the winner of Copa de la Liga Profesional, which is just the winner of the professional league, and Campeón Trofeo de Campeones, which is the Champions Cup trophy. So even if he has 3 trophies, my homie, he's walking into we're I guess at this point we're expecting him to walk into the Rapids locker room with experience, having won trophies in his club here. It's only going to add experience. Crash, I think, like, yeah, obviously there's always going to be doubts because this isn't the flashy name that is coming from, I guess, the reputable league that, excuse me, we kind of keep up with or whatever. I guess time will tell, Crash. Time will tell, bro. The Rapids have been doing pretty good in getting players coming in through the door. I can't think of a bad player in the last 2 seasons that the Rapids have scouted, signed, and started that has kind of not really translated over onto the first team, bro. If I'm honest with you, so time will tell, Crash. Your overall thoughts on the movie? I know we talked about it a little bit, but just your final thoughts on this transfer. What do you expect from him? Is he walking into this lineup right away? If they do,
No.
if and when they make this transfer official?
Yeah. No, yeah, I wouldn't expect it at all, to be honest, especially if they really have an appearance clause in there where they have to buy him if they play him. That seems odd to me. And so that just is like, well, what's the point? So I can't imagine he's going to jump straight in, but we need that depth, and I think that's the key. So we'll see what happens, but I don't know. We need to see the deals first, and we need to get confirmation of what it's going to be. But it sounds like it's a pretty close deal, so
Yeah.
we'll see. And if he is wearing burgundy blue and wearing the crest, then we're going to give him a shot, and we're going to root for him just like everybody else, and hope for the
Absolutely.
best. But I can't knock him. I haven't seen him play, and Armist has been doing some quality things with his players, and let's hope he can do that with Alexis as well.
And Padraig Smith has been doing an excellent job in his role as well, bro.
Yeah,
We have
yeah,
to
for
give
sure.
credit. We have to give credit where credit is due. But before we go any further, I just wanted to say, Johnson again, ole ole, big up, big up. Crash, my homie. Any final wrap up words of anything that you want to crash,
Yeah.
anything you want to plug, anything you got coming up, my homie?
The last thing that we didn't really get to chat on, but we can kind of leave it to be discussed later because we don't have a whole lot of news. Is if Chido does leave in the window, we have a giant hole in our defense. There was some rumblings about an inbound transfer on the center back before that didn't end up coming this way.
Yeah. Was he
Something like that. I
Croatian?
forget
I
who it
know he
was.
was coming
Stav
from a
Lemkin.
Yeah.
He was a Israeli player coming
That's right.
from Ukraine,
A
I think,
Croatian
actually.
team.
Yeah,
Okay,
maybe it was a
okay.
Croatian team. Yeah. Either way,
Yes.
he's not coming. He's going somewhere else, which means we don't have an inbound center back transfer. Which if Chido is leaving, we need that. Ian Murphy's great. He's going to be able to step in and fill the gap until we get somebody up to speed. But right now we're at a big hole. We're either going to be pulling from R2 or we're recalling either Nate Jones or Michael Edwards from their loans in the USL. So big something to keep a lookout for. I'm sure that when Stav didn't work out, they went on search for another center back to bring in. But I think the interesting thing is that we all expected that center back to be a replacement for Maxu, not for Chido. So
good point.
Maxu wearing the armband makes me feel like he is committed and locked in for the rest of the season. So I don't think we see him make any sort of moves anytime soon. And he's, but I would imagine, we've got some center back help that's on the horizon for next season. But that's all we've got at the current moment. So center back, big giant hole. Even if we roll the dice on Alexis and bring him in, he's going to be a depth element to our attack, which we need drastically because we can't be playing Koo and Harris the entire time. We need some of those wingers in the attack to really support and get us through the last part of the season. But if we don't have Chido, we need some massive help on that center back position. So we need an inbound transfer big time. So hopefully we get some news or some rumblings on that, and we can get them in early on the window. So that way we're going into Leagues Cup or playing in Leagues Cup, getting some minutes on those new players to get them fresh and ready to go.
Yeah, my homie, all I could say, Crash, is I'm fucking stoked. I'm stoked. The Rapids are making moves.
Hey,
That's better news than no news, my homies. You know what I mean? We're making some news. I just want to say big up to the homies that watch this. Big up for Rob for becoming the newest Pity member, the newest Pities fan, all the way from Wales. Get in, my homies.
One of us.
One of us. And tomorrow, if anybody wants to catch the homie, I will be on We Are Tottenham TV with my homies, The Perfect Match, doing the pump-up show for our preseason match against Reading. I'm actually looking forward to that one, my homies. We Are Tottenham TV is a dope channel to be on, and I'm always grateful whenever they ask me to come in to be on there. So no, nothing on the Rapids front, my homies. I'm gonna try and be back. Oh, I'm gonna be back tomorrow with the homies as well. Crash, you're invited. Monday, we'll more than likely see if we could talk about anything. We don't have any Rapids here until Leagues Cup. Keep your eyes peeled, my
Philly
homies.
the next Saturday.
Yeah. That's a way. Yeah,
Yep.
we will be doing.
Day.
I will be doing a
26.
stream after that. Keep the notifications on, my homies. You never know when we're gonna have an emergency meeting, or you never know when I will decide to make Yorkshire puddings with my family and make a video about it. Or I might decide to vlog a work day, or I might just decide to make a random video. Stay tuned, my homies, because you never know what could happen over here on the Mile High Hotspur. We just discussed the Rapids for a little bit. Crash, thank you always for supporting the channel and being a part of the show. Big up to my homie Jacob, the United Spur of America. Jacob Walraven, my homie, I hope you're well. A Dallas, FC Dallas fan. Boo. Big yourself up, Jacob. Hope you're well, my homie. Have a good one. Crash, we're signing off, my homie.
You guys up the pits.
Let's go.